Long ago, the people of Israel were suffering under the rule of their enemies, the Philistines. For many years they lived in fear. Their enemies were powerful, and Israel felt helpless. But God had not forgotten his people. One day, an angel appeared to a woman who had no children. The angel told her that she would give birth to a son, and that this child would be special. He would be set apart for God from the moment he was born. He would grow up to begin delivering Israel from the Philistines. That promised child was named Samson. From the time he was young, it was clear that Samson was different. God had given him extraordinary strength. As he grew older, people began to notice that something powerful was working in his life. The Bible says, "The Spirit of the Lord began to stir him." Judges 13 verse 25. Samson's strength was unlike anything people had ever seen. One day, while traveling alone, a young lion suddenly attacked him on the road. Most people would have run in terror, but Samson stood his ground. With his bare hands, he grabbed the lion and tore it apart. The Bible tells us, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him so that he tore the lion apart with his bare hands. Judges 14 verse 6. Stories about Samson quickly spread everywhere. People whispered about the man with impossible strength. The Philistines began to fear him. Again and again, Samson fought against Israel's enemies and defeated them in ways no one expected. His strength seemed unstoppable. But Samson had a weakness. Although God had given him great power, he often followed his own desires instead of God's wisdom. One day, Samson met a woman who would change his life forever. Her name was Delilah. Delilah was beautiful and charming, and Samson fell deeply in love with her. He trusted her completely. But unknown to Samson, the Philistine rulers were watching closely. They were desperate to find a way to defeat him. They knew they could not overcome him by force, so they decided to use deception. They secretly went to Delilah and offered her a large amount of silver. All she had to do was discover the secret of Samson's strength. The rulers said to her, "See if you can lure him into showing you the secret of his great strength and how we can overpower him." Judges 16 verse 5. Delilah agreed. One evening she sat beside Samson and gently asked him a question. "Tell me the secret of your great strength," she said. "How could someone defeat you?" Samson laughed and gave her an answer that was not true. But that very night, Delilah secretly tested what he had told her. She called out, "Samson, the Philistines are here." Samson woke up and easily escaped. Still, he did not leave her. Again and again Delilah asked him the same question. Each time Samson gave another false answer, and each time she tried to trap him. Day after day she continued asking him. The Bible describes how persistent she was. With such nagging she prodded him day after day until he was sick to death of it. Judges 16 verse 16. Eventually, Samson became tired of resisting her. One night, he finally told her the truth. "No razor has ever been used on my head," Samson said. "If my head were shaved, my strength would leave me, and I would become as weak as any other man." For Samson, his hair represented the promise he had made to God since birth. But now the secret had been revealed. Delilah immediately knew he had told her the truth. She secretly called the Philistine rulers and told them to come back one more time. That night Samson fell asleep with his head resting on Delilah's lap. While he slept, she called a man to shave off the 7 braids of his hair. Slowly, quietly, the symbol of Samson's strength was cut away. Then Delilah shouted, "Samson, the Philistines are here." Samson woke up and jumped to his feet, expecting to fight as he always had before. But something was different. The Bible says, he did not know that the Lord had left him. Judges 16 verse 20. His strength was gone. The Philistines rushed in and captured him. They bound him with chains and gouged out his eyes. The once mighty warrior was taken away as a prisoner. The man who had once terrified armies was now forced to grind grain like a slave in prison. Day after day, Samson lived in darkness, thinking about the choices that had brought him there. But as time passed, something began to change. His hair slowly began to grow again. One day, the Philistines gathered in a huge temple to celebrate. They believed their God had defeated Samson, and they wanted to mock him in front of thousands of people. They called for Samson to be brought out of prison. Blind and weak, he was led into the temple. But deep inside, Samson turned back to God. Quietly he prayed, "Sovereign Lord, remember me. Please strengthen me just once more." Judges 16 verse 28. Samson asked the servant who was leading him to place his hands on the pillars that supported the temple.
Standing between the 2 great pillars, Samson prayed one last time.
Then he pushed with all his strength. With a mighty force, the pillars began to move. The entire temple shook and then collapsed. The Bible tells us, so the dead he killed at his death were more than those he had killed while he lived. Judges 16 verse 30. Samson's life is a powerful reminder that even the strongest person can fall when they ignore God's wisdom. But it also reminds us of something hopeful. Even after failure, even after terrible mistakes,
God still hears a sincere prayer.
And sometimes, the greatest act of strength is turning back to Him.